Good afternoon, class of 2026, parents, friends, and distinguished guests. Before we begin, let's hear it one more time for the Virginia Belles and the Virginia Gentlemen. What a remarkable and truly UVA way to begin this weekend. My name is Annie Jal, and I have had the privilege of serving as Vice President of the Class of 2026 these past 4 years. On behalf of our class, welcome to Valediction and to the start of graduation weekend. It's a little surreal to be standing here because honestly, this is one of those moments where it has fully hit. We're not just finishing a semester, we're closing a chapter that has shaped who we are. 4 years ago, we sat at convocation in this very arena, not yet knowing what UVA would come to mean to us. I still remember sitting here as a first year, excited, nervous, and completely unaware of how quickly this place would become a second home. Now we're back here again, but with the perspective that only comes from having lived it. And what defines our experience isn't one moment, but everything that filled the time in between. For example, we've had our fun at lighting of the lawn, standing out in the cold, singing together as everything lights up at once, and somehow, no matter how many years we did it, we never had enough hot cocoa. And remember how we dressed up for trick-or-treating on the lawn, handing out enough candy that stocked each household for the next month? We really grew up together. We attended first-year formal, second-year dinner series, third-year ceremony, and now most recently, our fourth-year sunset at Carter Mountain, when we reunited with friends from first year and realized just how many people have been a part of our lives. These are moments that marked our time without us fully realizing it. And of course, there were many moments throughout our 4 years that asked more of us as well. There were moments when I saw this class show incredible compassion and resilience in ways I'll never forget. Even when the waters felt rough, the class of 2026 displayed empathy, strength, and a willingness to show up for one another, not because we had to, but because we chose to. Our class has left a mark on this university, not just in titles or accolades, but also in the way we have shown up for each other and for UVA. We've led organizations, broken records, started initiatives, responded in crises that required strength and unity, and we found ways to care for one another amidst uncertainty. We've celebrated together, we've adapted together, and we've grown together. And through all of it, we've built something that's hard to put into words, but you feel it when you look around this room. I think that's what today is really about. Valediction is a time to recognize members who have made a lasting impact on this university, and today we'll have the chance to celebrate some truly incredible members of our class. Today is also about reflection and stepping into what is next. So as we begin, I'd like for us all to keep this in mind. Be present, because this weekend will move fast. While this weekend is the last time we will all be together like this, it is not an ending in the way we might think. What we've built here does not stay here. It travels with us in the people we stay connected to, in the way we show up for others, and in the confidence that we've been a part of something meaningful. So, class of 2026, wherever you go next, you will always have a way back home at UVA. And with that, welcome to Valediction and to graduation weekend.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ria Zahir, and I'm a member of the Class of 2026 Trustees. And today, I'm presenting the Seven Society Awards. The Lewis A. Honesty Award is given each year to a scholar athlete who is dedicated not only to the betterment of themselves and their team, but to the well-being and empowerment of communities across grounds. This year, it is the Seven Society's honor to recognize Mr. Miles Plummer, who, yes! An individual who has shown an unparalleled devotion to the University of Virginia's athletic department, as well as the numerous communities he has been a part of. Miles has been an integral member to the men's track and field team. Participating in both indoor and outdoor programs, he competes at the Division I level with distinction and dedication, and was a recipient of the All-ACC Academic Honor Roll Award. Miles exhibits a level of quiet discipline and genuine passion that inspires those around him. Beyond track, Miles has excelled academically, pursuing a major in media studies where he channels that expertise into meaningful community engagement as a co-host of the student radio WXTJ. As secretary of the Black Student Athlete Offering Service and Support, Miles has worked tirelessly to foster unity among Black student athletes, uplift the broader community, and ensure that those around him feel seen and supported. Miles is an exceptional athlete and an outstanding individual who has made a lasting impact at the university. The athletics and the broader UVA community will forever bear the mark of his steadfast authenticity, boundless generosity, and unceasing commitment to excellence. The Seven Society wholeheartedly finds Mr. Plummer most deserving of the Lewis A. Honesty Award. Join us in congratulating Mr. Plummer and thanking him for his contributions to the university. The Seven Society also has the privilege of celebrating a student organization that has dedicated itself to enriching not only the university community, but the broader Charlottesville region. This year, the Seven Society recognizes Bridges to Learning as its James Earl Sargent Award recipient. Bridges to Learning was founded with the mission of making education accessible to all, regardless of circumstance or background. They partner with the Charlottesville-Albemarle Regional Jail to provide tutoring in basic math and English for incarcerated individuals preparing for their GED. Though tutoring might seem like a straightforward concept, Bridges to Learning has the power to transform a classroom behind locked doors into a space of possibility, dignity, and renewal, where individuals are treated as valued persons whose potential is boundless and whose future is worth fighting for. Bridges to Learning fosters a space for trust, patience, and humanity, providing an essential connection between the university and a community who is often marginalized and overlooked. The Bridges to Learning members choose week after week to show up and invest in another person's growth. The Seven Society deeply admires these dedicated educators and eagerly awaits the continued flourishing of their work, both on grounds and beyond. Accepting this award on behalf of Bridges to Learning at UVA is their founder, Delara Hasio-Galari.
Hi, everybody. I'm Wyatt Dayhoff, a trustee in the class of 2026, and today I have the pleasure of presenting our Class of 2026 awards. So each year, the trustees of the graduating class bestow 3 awards upon students of their class who have contributed significantly to the university. Those awards include the Award for Community Service, the Award for Cultural Fluency, and this year, the Orange and Blue Award. The recipients are all welcome to join us on stage after all 3 of the awards have been announced. I'll start with the Community Service Award, which honors a graduating student who has worked tirelessly to enrich both the university and the Charlottesville communities through service during their time as a student. I've had the distinct pleasure of getting to know this year's recipient, Rachel Mulvaney, through our shared baton classes, and I can attest that she brings an unparalleled level of passion, empathy, drive, and genuine care for the people that she works with and advocates for. In particular, Rachel's work as Vice President of FAR, which is a CIO that benefits the Public Housing Association of Residents here in Charlottesville, stands out. From fundraising for the Legal Aid Justice Center and coordinating student participation in city council meetings to facilitating the creation of a documentary about West Haven, Rachel has laid the groundwork for this CIO's continued success and, more importantly, for sustained, meaningful change in Charlottesville. Rachel's impact will be felt long after she leaves grounds. Please join me in congratulating this year's Community Service Award recipient, Rachel Mulvaney. Next up, we have the Cultural Fluency Award, which is presented to a graduating student who has demonstrated an acute understanding and appreciation for cultural and intellectual diversity during their time at UVA, celebrating the importance of building bridges across our many backgrounds and finding common ground within our community. This year's recipient, Doreen Aluda, embodies these ideals to a T. Yeah, wait to come up until the end. But while managing the rigors of being a full-time transfer student from Piedmont, Virginia Community College, a primary caretaker of 4 children, and a full-time employee at the UVA hospital, Doreen also tutors in the Arabic and biology departments and works as a transfer ambassador. She has been described as having endless energy, ceaseless care and compassion, and a desire to show others that UVA can be a place where they too can thrive. On behalf of the trustees of the class of 2026, please join me in congratulating the Cultural Fluency Award recipient, Doreen Aluda. And again, wait to come up till the end. And last but not least, each year the graduating class has the opportunity to create an award that reflects the unique spirit and experience of their time at UVA. This year, the Orange and Blue Award honors a member of the class of 2026 whose colors shine true through their care for others and commitment to the university. This award recognizes a student who consistently shows up for their peers with empathy, integrity, and authenticity, and whose leadership reflects the belief that the UVA community is strongest when its members support one another and strive to take our community from good to great. This year's recipient, Grace Karamanis, has true colors emblematic of this award. She has led selflessly across countless areas around grounds and has been described with compassion and enthusiasm that is entirely infectious, particularly as clarinet section leader for the Cavalier Marching Band. A quote from one friend I think sums it up best. Quote, "Grace has been an example to follow on how to process and accept grief, as well as how to find the joy in life and learn to live with it. She has grown up bleeding orange and blue, which you can see at every single football and basketball game, no matter what the score is. Grace defines what it means to love UVA and to spread that love to others. Please join me in congratulating this year's Orange and Blue Award recipient, Grace Karamanis." I'd like to note briefly that these short bios that I just read showcase only a fraction of the impact that these students have had at UVA, and if you click the QR codes that were up there but are no longer up there, you can read much more about them and how amazing they've been for UVA. Recipients, you may now make your way up to the stage to receive your award and do a quick photo op. Let's get one more round of applause for these amazing Class of 2026 award recipients.
Good afternoon, everybody. How are we feeling? My name is Chandra Golden, and I am a rising third-year student. This year, I had the pleasure of serving on the selection committee for the Algernon Sidney Sullivan Award. Each year, the Sullivan Award Committee selects 2 student recipients from the graduating class who best exemplify the highest qualities of character, humility, and unselfish service. The committee also selects an individual from the university community whose compassion, service, and influence are widely acknowledged and appreciated. All the recipients of this award are wonderful, but they are distinctly defined by the acts and support of others. Their deeds are not spent on their self-interests, but rather in the interests of the community. They represent our highest ideals and our greatest hopes. Please, hold your applause as I read a few words about each of our recipients. Lucas Fuller has had a profound and lasting impact on individuals in the broader university community by fostering a deep sense of belonging, connection, and personal growth. In his roles as a mentor, a teaching assistant, student leader, and more, he helps others see UVA not just as a place they attend, but as a community where they are valued and where they truly belong. Lucas serves as a powerful connector, bringing together diverse groups and strengthening every community he is a part of. His presence creates a unifying thread across organizations, classrooms, leadership spaces, and he amplifies a culture of support and inclusion. His involvements across the university is not driven by recognition, but authenticity and care for others, the very essence of the Sullivan Award. Megan Life is widely known at UVA for 3 characteristics: consistency, a willingness to work behind the scenes, and being a happy person. She has made a lasting impact here while working with the Office of Undergraduate Admissions in their newly created intern role. Over her 4 years, Megan has given over 390 minute tours and trained 4 full cohorts of interns. This work will have ripple effects for years to come. When she wasn't giving tours or mentoring new interns, younger students in her major, or sorority sisters, she coached a local high school swim team through a state championship season. Megan is driven by the impact she can have on other people. That motivation, rooted in genuine care and the belief that people deserve to feel seen and supported, is what makes Megan Life a worthy inheritor of the ideals of the Algernon Sidney Sullivan Award. And lastly, when Tashana Starks' name is mentioned at the School of Architecture, everyone knows who you're talking about. She is described as extraordinary and transformative. Tashana is a ray of sunshine for everyone around her. She has an exceptional ability to see the needs of students, often before those needs are even voiced. She possesses a rare combination of emotional intelligence, reliability, and kindness that sets her apart and makes a lasting impact on everyone fortunate enough to be advised or work with her. It's one thing to have a job, but it's another to think of it as service. Tashana is a public servant. Her work is her calling. She always focuses on the collective good, ensuring that everyone feels supported and valued. Students often say, "Because of Tashana, I'm the person I am. She changed my life." Please join me in congratulating the award recipients for this year.
Hello, my name is Matthew Heilman. I'm a current fourth year here. Today I'm going to be presenting the 2026 Gordon F. Rainey Jr. Award to my mother, Carrie Heilman. The Society of the Purple Shadows seeks to recognize those exceptional individuals who serve our shared community without the thought of recognition or reward. In this spirit, the Society is proud to present the 2026 Gordon F. Rainey Jr. Award for Vigilance to the Student Experience to Carrie M. Heilman. Mrs. Heilman held many titles during her time at the university: friend, colleague, professor, wife, mother. In each, she exuded grace, intelligence, steadfastness, and humility, remaining authentically herself in her many vocations. For those fortunate enough to know her, she was a source of immense joy and inspiration. In an age of scattered attention, Mrs. Heilman was fiercely present, often believing in her students before they were even sure of themselves. Reflecting on her impact, one student remarked, "She believed so much in our ability to be great. She wanted us to see that in ourselves, to never settle, but to push and work until we were as great as she knew we could be." As a professor of marketing in the McIntyre School of Commerce, Mrs. Heilman supervised the university's renowned promotions program, a year-long exploration of market research and advertising strategy. She undertook this venture with her characteristic enthusiasm, staying late, working weekends, and devoting countless hours to personal mentorship outside of the class. Mrs. Heilman's devotion to her work was rivaled only by her profound respect she showed her students. They were empowered to make decisions of consequence, working alongside Mrs. Heilman as collaborators, not simply as mentees. The confidence that she transferred to her students was apparent, as they won National Student Advertising Championship in 2016, 2020, and 2021. Mrs. Heilman's impact stretched far beyond the classroom. She served as the university's sole faculty athletic representative and chaired the Athletics Advisory Council, acting as a liaison between the Department of Athletics, the faculty, staff, and students. In the rapidly evolving environment of college athletics, Mrs. Heilman advocated for student athletes, academically, professionally, and personally. Through her development of the name, image, and likeness education and support for transferring students, Mrs. Heilman was an indispensable asset for every single student athlete at the university. While Mrs. Heilman was never motivated by recognition, the indelible mark she left on her students, colleagues, and their university is unmistakable. In 2018, Poets and Quants recognized her as one of the top 50 undergraduate professors in the country. And in 2020, she was awarded the UVA's All-University Teaching Award, recognizing her profound impact on her students and her outstanding leadership. Even while fighting a year-long battle against cancer, Mrs. Heilman poured her energy into those around her, investing in students, not only as scholars, but as individuals. Henri Frédéric Emile wrote, "Life is short, and we have never too much time for gladdening the hearts of those who are traveling the dark journey with us. Oh, be swift to love, and make haste to be kind." While Mrs. Heilman is no longer with us, her memory will remain in the gladdened hearts of many. Grief, although painful, is a melancholic reminder of the deep and intimate love. The sincere sadness felt by students, colleagues, friends, and family of her passing is a reminder that life is not only measured by years, but by the relationships you've built. For you, Mrs. Heilman will forever be one of the university is proud to call her own. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Kaylin Dickerson,
And I'm Wyatt Packer.
and we are your co-chairs for the Class of 2026 Class Giving Campaign, Who's Leaving a Legacy?
While this marks the end of a journey, it also signals the beginning of many new, exciting chapters and stories for the places on grounds that have been touched by the legacy all of you have begun to leave.
As with any great story, it begins with acknowledgments, and this is no different. So before we address what leaving a legacy means to us, we want to first recognize those who helped make this campaign so successful.
To our committee, we are beyond grateful for your presence and energy this year. We thank you for your creativity and your dedication to the campaign. To Mary Elizabeth Luzar, Olivia Hathaway, and Joe Montante, I apologize. Your years of service and a seemingly endless well of expertise enabled our dreams to become reality. Words simply aren't enough to extend our gratitude.
To the University Bookstore, thank you for your assistance during GradFest. Your effort and dedication enabled us to tally nearly 1,400 donations made during that week alone.
Lastly, but certainly not least, to the rest of the fourth-year trustees, thank you for offering your time and ideas. Without each and every one of you, none of this would have been possible.
This year, Wyatt and I continued the tradition of creating a theme for the Class Giving campaign. Back in August, we chose the slogan, "Who's Leaving a Legacy?" because we wanted something that captured more than just a final year fundraiser. We wanted it to reflect what it means to be both great and good on grounds, to be not only a student, but a champion for learning and student engagement wherever it may be.
To us, leaving a legacy is not simply about grand gestures or big donations, but rather the everyday impact each of us has made during our time here. Every member of the class of 2026 has left an impact through service, leadership, and friendship.
This campaign is our way of coming together to carry this impact forward and intentionally leaving the university better than we found it. At the end of the day, Who's Leaving a Legacy is about participation, pride, and making sure what we've built here continues long after we're gone.
The annual fourth-year gift allows fourth-year students to donate directly to one of thousands of possible allocations, including almost every plausible area and conceivable corner of the university, from CIOs, departments, scholarship funds, and more. In this way, fourth years have the opportunity to give back to things on grounds that have shaped their time here, so that future Who's can have the same opportunity to experience the incredible things that we did.
We are pleased to announce that this year, more than half of the class of 2026 participated in class giving. These 2,372 students donated to 472 different allocations across grounds. On behalf of the university, we are grateful for your generosity and interest in improving the communities on grounds we cherish the most. Your dedication to leaving UVA a better place will make a lasting impact. Here's to continuing to build a vibrant and empowered community for years to come.
President Scott Beardsley, on behalf of the class of 2026, we are honored to present this check for $58,714.
Congratulations, and thank you so very much, class of 2026.
Class of 2026, congratulations, awesome. And wow, Kaylin and Wyatt, great job. Thank you so much. I want to thank this year's trustees for their leadership and to congratulate this year's award winners. Amazing job by all of you. And ladies and gentlemen, please join me also in thanking and giving a huge round of applause to today's speakers, including President Emeritus Jim Ryan. He gave many years of his life in dedicated service, and we're so grateful for you. And now to the amazing class gift. I am, of course, delighted to accept it and would like to thank the 2,373 members of your class of 2026 who contributed this year. Amazing, that's about 51% of the class. But more than that, it's the symbol. Think about that. People graduating, still going into debt in school, and they're already giving back to UVA. It's incredible. It means a lot. Thank you so much. In giving back to UVA, you should know you're ensuring that future students will continue to benefit from the life-changing opportunities that you have enjoyed here, even as you go on and pursue new dreams. I'm so grateful for your generosity and for all that you have given to the community during your time here. Thank you, and I will see you on the lawn for final exercises on Saturday and Sunday. Wahoo wah.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. We're still a little bit asleep, but that's okay. Hi, my name is Keone Vega, and I have the privilege of serving as the president of the graduating class here at UVA. So, we're going to start with the pop quiz. What I have here is the 126 things to do before you graduate list. So I'm going to read off a few items from the list, and if you've done them, I want you to shout it out. Okay, just for starters, who here even has a copy of the list? Okay, good. Who here has gone to trick-or-treating on the lawn? Who here has studied in the rotunda? Has anyone actually gotten the #1 ticket at Bodo's? Okay, I'm not an early riser, so that's a no for me. Okay, what about this one? Has anyone here streaked the lawn? Okay, I'm gonna ask again, but we're gonna answer honestly this time. Has anyone here streaked the lawn? Parents, I actually live on the lawn, so the things I have seen this year have been insane, but we'll keep that for a speech for another day. All right, we'll do one last one. Who here has showered in the basement of Shannon Library? Oh, no. I haven't done that one either. It just seems like a lot of effort. All right, so when I was writing this speech, I really did not want this to feel so graduation-y, you know? So my first step in not making this feel so graduation-y was cutting the speech down from 11 minutes to 5 minutes. So I don't know, I feel like that's a separate applause line, but that's okay. The things to do before you graduate list is a newer tradition in comparison to the storied legacies here at UVA. The list started in 2007 and it grows every year. So the class of 2024 had 124 things to do before they graduated. 2025 had 125, 2026 had 126 things to do, and so on. And I bring up this fun graduating class thing for a specific reason, and that's the idea of tradition. So when we were creating this year's list, we probably scrapped 40% of last year's to-dos, and we tailored this year's list more to our class. So I ask you earnestly, because this year's list is so heavily reimagined, does that mean that we abandon tradition? I definitely don't think so. Traditionally, I would have been the final speaker here today. And it took me about 4 seconds of reflection to go, yeah, speaking after President Ryan is probably not where I want to be in the lineup. So we changed the speaking order. And again, I ask, because we reimagined the speaking order, does that mean that we abandon tradition here today? No, I don't think so. And I keep bringing up this idea of reimagining traditions because from day one, the class of 2026 has reimagined its approach to UVA. Reimagined its approach to student self-governance, and perhaps most importantly, reimagined its approach to tradition. When the Lighting the Lawn Committee thought, how can we possibly make this event bigger than it already is, they went ahead and added drones to the light show. And that is quite literally the magic of UVA students. In large part, the reason why this class has been so influential to this university and its traditions because we have had to be a steadying force in the midst of nonstop change and turmoil. I believe that when you're faced with a difficult situation, you can either choose to opt out or lean in. The headline that I want to make really clear here today is that the class of 2026 has always, without failure, leaned in. We have been a class that not only reimagines traditions, but a class that continuously brings a perspective. We've had tremendous chaos here at UVA. Whether you started here your first year or transferred in, you have grown increasingly familiar with our school's name being in national headlines. And despite that, for the vast majority of us in this room, we love this university more than we could possibly say, more than I could even try to say in a 5-minute speech. At UVA, this class has never accepted things for the way they are. We made this university our own. We made some of the biggest traditions here at UVA our own, and we brought our own perspective. In a world that feels chaotic and divided and at times hopeless, I firmly believe that the world craves people who bring their own perspective, who reimagine the old, people who reinvigorate the outdated. Class of 2026, that is our mandate. We've done it here at UVA, and after this weekend, it's up to us to accept that mandate and bring our own perspectives. Reimagine traditions and leave your mark on whatever your next chapter will be. So, I have some good news. First, I'm almost done with the speech. And second, thank you, you can now check off attend valedictory exercises off your list. Tonight, you can check off attend the graduation weekend class party, which, shameless plug, is at the brand new, very nice Virginia Guest House from 8 to 11 p.m. All friends and family welcome. And very soon, we'll be able to donate our graduation balloons to the UVA Children's Hospital. We'll be able to wear the honors of honors. And finally, toss our cap and tassel. This is it. Thank you, everyone. It's been an incredible 4 years.
Class of 2026, family, friends, faculty, and staff. My name is Ella Kreft, and it is my honor to be standing before you today. I am the Class of 2026 Graduation Chair and privileged to introduce our valedictory keynote speaker, and I suspect the person most of you are most excited to hear from, President Emeritus Jim Ryan. I'll be honest, when I had the chance to sit down with President Ryan a few weeks ago, I was extremely nervous. But he turned out to be one of the most genuine, kind people I'd ever met, and in many ways, that felt like such a true representation of the kind of people that make up this university. Many of you have probably witnessed that firsthand. He organized Run with Jim so that anyone who wanted to share in his favorite hobby with him could. He welcomed students into his home at Carr's Hill, opening his doors because he genuinely wanted to know and invest in the people around him. And he was never too busy to stop for a photo or learn your name, because to him, that was never a small thing. For those that may not know, Jim Ryan served as the 9th president of the University of Virginia beginning in 2018 after serving as the dean of the Harvard Graduate School of Education. He earned his JD from UVA Law in 1992, making grounds a place he has called home for much of his life. He is returning to the UVA School of Law faculty after his sabbatical, and the university is a better place with him a part of it. As part of the Class of 2026 trustees, it is actually our class that picks the valedictory keynote speaker, and the response from our fellow students made that decision extremely easy. So many people came up to us expressing how much they wanted to hear Jim Ryan speak. I don't think there is a better testament to the kind of impact he's had on our community or our class than that. He is someone that leads with humility, who listens before he speaks, and who has spent his career asking not what is easiest, but what is right. Jim Ryan has long believed that the goal of education is to be both great and good. And looking at this class today, I think we are proof that he got that right. That is who Jim Ryan is, and that is why there is no one better to send our class forward. Please welcome President Emeritus Jim Ryan.
Thank you. I should probably quit while I'm ahead and sit down. Thank you, Ella, for that kind introduction, and thanks to the fourth-year trustees for inviting me. It's an honor to have been asked to speak, and I am thrilled to be with all of you. I'd like to congratulate the class of 2026 and all of your friends and family in the audience. It is a big deal to graduate from college. This is not a pretend milestone like third grade graduation. This is a genuine milestone, and you and your families should be justly proud. I was hoping to graduate with all of you this year, albeit from the presidency, but as you may have heard, I was allowed, you might even say encouraged, to graduate a year early. Nonetheless, given everything that we went through together, I'd like to consider myself at least an honorary member of the class of 2026, if that's okay with all of you. In all seriousness, let me say this. I have missed you, and I am filled with joy and gratitude to see all of you here, more than I can fully convey in words, though I will give it a try at the end of my speech. For now, I'd like to begin by acknowledging a sad truth, sad for all of us, actually. It is highly unlikely that you will remember this speech. My only hope is that you might remember the main message, which is inspired by a speech by Winston Churchill that he gave during World War II, while he was serving as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. The speech came at a difficult phase of the war, and Churchill was trying to strengthen the resolve of his fellow Brits to stand firm and continue the fight. In that speech, Churchill memorably told his audience this: Never give in. Never, 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 never. That was not the entirety of the speech, but these are the only 2 lines that people remember, including me. That is not a criticism. Most speeches are completely 100% forgettable. The best that a speaker or audience can reasonably hope for is a memorable line or 2. Which is why today I'm going to follow Churchill's lead and offer you a very concise and somewhat related message. Here it is. Do the right thing, always. My hope is that this simple message will stick with you and help strengthen your resolve whenever you face the question, as you have before and will again, of whether to do the right thing. I am tempted to stop right here, given that what I say next will almost surely be forgotten. But I am Irish Catholic, and for that reason I feel anticipatory guilt about everything, but especially about telling you to do the right thing without providing at least some explanation. So I'd like to say a little bit more about a couple of questions that might be on your mind and are worth discussing in any event. First, how do you know if you're doing the right thing? And second, why do the right thing at all? After addressing these 2 questions, we'll have some time for audience participation. We should wrap up well before midnight. So how do you know if you're doing the right thing? This is a deceptively difficult question. On the one hand, doing the right thing has a know it when you see it quality, and I think we all have an intuitive understanding of what it means to do the right thing. You know you're doing the wrong thing, for example, if you think, my mother can never know about this. You know you're doing the right thing, by contrast, if you think, I hope to be able to tell my grandkids about this someday. Beyond that, however, it gets a little complicated because there are a million ways to describe and define what it means to do the right thing. I know this because I have obsessive tendencies and am on sabbatical. So I have been down a lot of rabbit holes. I rewatched the Spike Lee movie, Do the Right Thing, have pored over the trolley car problem, read an inordinate number of theological and philosophical essays, revisited Robert Frost's Horse Rider, Who Has Promises to Keep, and talked with my friend Claude. I even rewatched Sophie's Choice, which may be the saddest movie I've ever seen. Along the way, I exhausted the patience of my family and friends, one of whom recently suggested, how about you do the right thing and stop talking? After wandering through the do the right thing wilderness, if I had to boil it down to its essence, I believe that doing the right thing means living your values, even when it's hard and even when no one is looking. And it means making choices that are not about your personal gain, but instead about someone else or something bigger than yourself, a community, a cause, a principle. Your values might come from your family, your faith, your culture, your conscience, the UVA honor code, or some combination, just to name a few sources. You might have a long list of values, or your values might be summed up by the golden rule. Regardless, doing the right thing means acting in ways consistent with those values. It also means making decisions that are not all about you and your personal welfare. So if you value being a good friend, as I'm sure all of you do, then you should be a good friend, even when it's inconvenient. If you value your family, show up for them even when it doesn't fit your schedule. If you value honesty, be honest with yourself and others, especially when it matters. If you believe in helping others, help them, whether you get credit or not. If you believe in showing gratitude, show it. If you believe in a cause or a principle, stand up for it, even when others are ducking for cover. That's what I mean by doing the right thing. Now, sometimes doing the right thing will be pretty easy. I believe, for example, that it would be wrong to steal a bicycle, and I've never really struggled to put that belief into practice. Doing the right thing can also bring you joy, as you'll see in a moment when we get to the audience participation part. Other times, living your values will be genuinely difficult. Choosing to do the right thing might put you at a disadvantage, at least in the short run. If you don't cheat on a test or lie to your boss, for example, you might do worse than you would have if you had cheated or lied. If you lend a hand to someone in need, you might lose some time that you could have spent on yourself. Doing the right thing might also put you at risk. If you speak up for a person or a cause that others are willing to ignore or denigrate, you risk, at the very least, embarrassment. If you refuse to compromise your principles or speak truth to power, you might risk losing a promotion or your job. There will also be times when it's impossible to tell what the right thing is, and the best you can do is make a decision for the right reasons. In my experience, these occasions, while real, are pretty rare. Most of the time, you'll know or be able to figure out the right path. The hard part will be summoning the will or courage to do what you know is right. This is why one sure sign that you're about to do the right thing, or you are at least thinking about it, is that you start to make excuses to avoid doing what you know in your gut or heart is right. Or you feel a tug at your sleeve that's telling you to pay attention to something that you're trying to ignore. Or your stomach starts to churn because you're about to take a risk and stand up for something or someone you believe in. It is in these exact moments that I hope you will remember the main message of this speech and choose to do the right thing. That you will hear a voice in your head that says, don't give in to the excuses. Pay attention to that tug at your sleeve, and know your stomach is churning not just because of that burrito, but because you're about to do the right thing. My dream is that 5 or 10 years from now, you will come back to a reunion, track me down, and say, Jim, first off, you haven't aged a bit. Second, I want to tell you about the time I cursed you in this speech, and then I went on to do the right thing. Now, if always doing the right thing sounds daunting, let me offer you some reassurance. You don't have to be a martyr or a hero to do the right thing. It doesn't have to be dramatic or table stakes to count. Nor does it have to be the only thing you do. Life doesn't consist just of right things and wrong things, so if you're not doing the one, you're doing the other. Aside from right and wrong, there are also smart things to do, like showering and eating a good breakfast. And there are fun things to do, like showering, eating a good breakfast, and then streaking the lawn. Even if you commit to always doing the right thing, as I hope you will still have plenty of time for the smart and the fun, as well as the enriching, romantic, and adventurous. You can even leave room for some harmless mischief, especially given that you are about to graduate from the recently rebranded UVA. And speaking of mischief, harmless mischief, I gather that if I were to go to the corner tomorrow morning at 7 a.m., I might see some of you there. You can rest assured, finally, that I'm not suggesting you always have to do the nice thing as opposed to the right thing. There's a difference between nice and right, even if the boundary is sometimes blurry. To give you a brief example, my mother was a big believer in reaching out to people when they were sick or otherwise struggling, which I admired. She also tried to enlist me to do the same, which I also admired but sometimes found perplexing. As she got older and had more time on her hands, looking for people who might be struggling became a sort of hobby. She would call me and say something like, "Remember Mrs. Burke, who lives 8 houses down from us?" "I'm afraid not," I would say. "Well," she would continue, "you delivered newspapers to her when you were 10. Anyway, her sister's cat died." "Yeah, it was a tabby. Apparently they were very close. I was thinking it would be nice for you to send a note." I'd ask, "Mrs. Burke or her sister?" My mom would say, "Oh, right, both." It would have been nice, if slightly random, for me to send that note or two, but but I wouldn't put it in the do the right thing category. Unlike my mother, I'm not telling you that you always need to send that note. To be absolutely clear, this is really important. I am not against doing nice things. That should not be the message that you take away from this speech. I'm just happy to leave the category of nice things to your discretion and perhaps your mother's. To put it another way, I'm not insisting that you send your friends birthday cards every year, but I am imploring you to pick up the phone when they call at 3 a.m. All of which is a roundabout and long-winded way of saying, in answer to the question of how you'll know, I have complete faith that you will know in your gut, your head, and your heart when you have an opportunity to do the right thing. When you do, you should, even if it's hard. Which leads to the second and last question of why. Why do the right thing at all? This is an awkward question, because you know that you're supposed to just nod your head in agreement when someone says you should do the right thing. You might be even embarrassed to ask this question in public, which is why I hesitate to tell you that Keone asked me this very question earlier. That said, it's a fair question that deserves an answer. Here's my attempt. For starters, Kathy Magruder, widely known as Miss Kathy, is in the audience today in the front row. Tony Bennett, the former men's basketball coach, couldn't be here today, but will be in the audience for final exercises tomorrow. That's worth a clap. I know for a fact that both Miss Kathy and Coach Bennett would want and expect you to do the right thing. And I don't know about you, but I would never want to disappoint either one of them. I'm not sure you need any other reason to do the right thing, but just in case, here's another one. If not you, who? Or if not whose, then who, if you know what I mean. You are prepared for and capable of doing the right thing, and as the saying goes, to whom much is given, much is expected. Your education has provided you with knowledge and skills that can contribute not just to your own success, but to the welfare of others. You've experienced self-governance and have lived in a community of trust bound by an honor code. So you should have a sound moral compass and know what it means to act with integrity. And you've been a student at a university that has aspired to be both great and good, in the sincere hope that you would as well at UVA and beyond. To be sure, there are plenty of people quietly doing the right thing day in and day out, but when it comes to leaders, there's not a lot of competition in the do the right thing category. Whether in the public or private sector, too many leaders seem more concerned about themselves than about the welfare of those they should be serving. I say this because you will undoubtedly have opportunities to lead in ways large and small. My hope is that you feel both obliged and prepared, given your education here, to be a different kind of leader. One who leads with the courage and integrity to do the right thing time and again. But you should also see an open lane to do so, and you should know that doing the right thing is contagious. I believe deeply that most people, most of the time, want to do the right thing, and your example will inspire them to do so. The final reason to choose the right thing when you have the chance may sound melodramatic, but it's true. Your choices are cumulative and will define your life. I trust you all aspire to be good people for your entire lives. But to paraphrase Forrest Gump and Yoda, good is as good does. You don't want to live feeling like a fraud with one set of aspirations and another reality. You run the risk that you eventually just give up on the idea of being a good person altogether, which will be bad for you and for the rest of us, especially when all of you are running the world. In sum, if you choose the path time and again that will make your grandkids proud of you, I promise you will also be proud of yourself and your life. Okay, how are we doing? All right. Okay, so this is where all of you come in. I've spent a fair bit of time describing what it feels like to do the right thing. To end my time with you, I'd like to show you rather than tell you. I'd like you to experience the joy that can come with doing the right thing. I believe it's always right to thank someone who has helped you, especially those who don't expect to be thanked. No one makes it to graduation alone. The members of the class of 2026, you have friends and family in the audience who helped you along the way. Please take a moment to thank them for helping you. If you can only stand, wave, and clap, that's fine, but if they're close, feel free to give them a hug, a fist bump, a high five, whatever. Go ahead, and feel free to make noise. Okay, next up. Now I need to ask you to help me thank some people who deserve your thanks as well. Because of the way that my time as president ended, the people I worked with, not just in Madison Hall, the president's office, but all across the university, were never properly thanked. Some stepped down when I did, others stayed and continued their work. All of them worked incredibly hard on your behalf, and I wonder if you can help me thank them. Okay, you see what I mean, right? That feels good, doesn't it? Okay, one last person for us to thank who will not be thrilled about this, but it's the right thing to do. I am married to Katie Ryan. She worked as hard as I did over my 7 years as president, and she cared as much about all of you as I did. She was there when we opened the President's House in 2022, and she attended every single open house for the next 3 years. I have already thanked her, but I'm sure it would mean a lot if you could take a second to thank her as well. Okay, it's time to land this plane. Let me end by doing the right thing and thanking all of you in the class of 2026. We met nearly 4 years ago in this very arena as you were just starting out, and I asked you to be curious, not judgmental. Since then, we have been through a lot together. Not all of it easy. In fact, some of what we experienced was as hard as it gets. We also shared a great deal of joy and laughter. It's sometimes hard to fathom how we still have the capacity for joy amidst sorrow, but I suppose that's just a part of the human condition. In any event, I'd like to thank you, first off, for making me laugh. Thank you as well for helping me grieve and showing me what it means to face tragedy with grace and compassion. Thank you for making me want to be a better person and a better leader. And thank you for telling me, when I needed to hear it, that you were counting on me to be a better person and a better leader. Thank you for dazzling me with your talents and your kindness. Thank you for sharing your stories, advising me, running with me, having lunch with me, and inviting me to your fraternity parties. I'm mostly kidding about that last part. Thank you, finally, for giving me hope. It's common for graduation speakers to say that they're counting on the next generation, namely yours, to meet the challenges and solve the problems created by the previous generation, namely mine. I think this is both unfair and unwise. It's unfair because why in the world should those of us from the generation that messed things up expect your generation to clean up our mess and to be excited about the chance? Don't get me wrong, I do hope that you take this on, but I can't in good conscience suggest that it's all on your shoulders now and hooray for you. It's also unwise, I believe, to pin your hopes on a generation that has not yet been tested or had a chance to prove themselves. Who knows whether your generation can be trusted to do the right thing? In my view, it's a little too early to tell. All of that said, if I can't yet trust your entire generation, I trust all of you. You give me hope because I've seen what you can do. In particular, I've seen you do the right thing over and again. You have supported each other in ways large and small through grand gestures and small kindnesses. You helped our community heal after the tragic shooting in 2022. You logged tens of thousands of hours volunteering through Madison House. You created a guide for students interested in public service. You improved the UVA Community Food Pantry, and you created the Cavalier Career Closet. You spoke out when you thought I was on the wrong path, and you spoke out when you thought the board was on the wrong path. You defended student self-governance. You advocated for UVA employees and for Charlottesville residents. You advocated for your fellow students. You found ways to celebrate and thank your colleagues, your professors and mentors, and UVA staff for helping you along the way. Many of you told me that you hope to leave UVA better than you found it. And guess what? Together, you have done exactly that. You have my deepest thanks. Thank you for doing the right thing over and again. Keep doing just that, always. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim Ryan. It has been the greatest honor to be your classmate and your friend. Thank you all so much for being here today. Please join us this evening at our class party at the Virginia Guest House from 8 to 11, open to all fourth years and their families. And we look forward to seeing you on the lawn Saturday and Sunday. Congratulations to the class of 2026. Please stand and join us for the good old song.
Good old song.